I'm trying to do some videos to help you be a success as a trustee. And this is first of half a dozen. We'll look at the practical things you need to do, the way to keep yourself safe, that's really the practical bit. Then move on through the risks. And we've got to talk about the risks because that's the way you manage them, and you can manage them down. On to what I would like to do, which is disaster planning. Sounds very dramatic, doesn't it? Or if the worst happens. I'm a great believer if you plan for it, it doesn't happen. Then we move on to not a disaster, but you're just not happy and what to do. And when do you actually walk away from the charity? And then finally, the sixth one will be a little wrap up. Quite a lot to take in. And obviously this is very generalist. So there will be specifics. And if you want your first piece of advice, and it's something the Commission recommends, whether it's the charity or whether it's you, please take timely, appropriate, professional advice. Really critical. It's a lot to take in, but please don't panic. It's not that bad. So I'll start off. Remember, whenever you're working as a trustee, that you should always put the charity's interests first. That's paramount. There are a few other things, in fact, there's roughly half a dozen, but that's probably for me biggest. So being a successful trustee, I've got you two key principles. And the key principles are write things down, really important, and apply a judgment that you may well not have heard of. It's only geeks like me who know this kind of thing, called Spate versus Gaunt. And I'll talk about that more later. As trustees, you face just three risks you need to manage. And the first way of managing it is to write things down, documenting, and then apply this judgment I'm going to talk about, Spate versus Gaunt. And that will really bring things down for you. Major reduction in the risks. And it also means that if things really do go wrong, I'm back to disaster planning, you have a defense if you're challenged. Documenting our decision and the process we go through is something most of us do every single day in our jobs. It's a feature of modern life. So all I'm asking you to do is to repeat that process when you act as a trustee. And sadly, people don't always do that. Because, of course, you will know that if you haven't written something down, as far as any regulator or any other body who's looking at this will say, well, it didn't happen. So continue your normal professional practice. So far, so simple. What about Spate versus Gaunt? Well, I told you it was an old case, it's 1883. But the principle remains sound. And to paraphrase the judgment, you're expected to supply the same standard of care and judgment as an ordinary, prudent person of business would apply in the management of similar affairs of their own. No more. That's it. Remember, though, if you are professionally qualified, the Charity Commission expects you to bring that knowledge, experience, training with you. And so they will have a higher standard of care than somebody who doesn't have that background. But really, all they're asking you to do is to apply your professional body's standards and your professionalism to the role of trustees. And that really is it for the first intro. We'll look in a moment about the real practicalities, and we'll get into some commission guidance. And you'll find I'll talk about things like CC3 and CC27. I do this because the Charity Commission does go in for very long titles. The shortened version of CC3 is the essential trustee. CC27, charity trustee and decision making. And my other top tip is do look at the material the Commission pushes out. It's got little videos, animations, as well as its proper guidance. And it is well worth delving into these, because much of it is very good. And certainly, I go back nearly 30 years now, it's a lot better written than it used to be. So there's a mine of really good information. So thank you very much. I hope this has been a useful intro, and I'll see you for video 2, where we talk about the practicalities of being a trustee. Thank you.